In this quick demo, I will show you how I would approach the task of quickly creating a rapid amount of profile studies for the HairDryer. In class, we created kind of like some basic profiles and 3D representations. This is all nice and good, but before we really go into styling, which is basically what this exercise is about, turning this ugly hairdryer into something that is attractive, sometimes the fastest way is still doing sketches, particularly profile sketches. So I have everything set up. I have all my lines, and I can make use actually of the OpenGL render active viewport. So a few things I set up. Under film, I turned on transparent. I have my resolution set to like a square, so 1000 1000, and under render options for OpenGL, anti-alias, full samples, 16, and transparent. So what I have to figure out now is when I click on this one, how do I frame my object? And you see this is actually too small, so I can zoom in a little bit more. And now the bottom got a little bit chopped. I can move this maybe up a little bit. Okay, I have to zoom out a step with the mouse wheel. Yep, and there we are, pretty close. All these lines are black. I can simply press A, maybe turn this one off, and then when I do this, I actually have a colored frame. This, for example, now I could save. Go to save as image. We want to use PNG RGB A, and I will overwrite my current image I have, and then click save. So the nice thing about this is, because it's a PNG, we only actually have nice outlines. So that works actually pretty good. I noticed actually that this area here is white, which is not really ideal. Let me go back. Maybe select something different. Yeah, I will do it this way. I will trick Blender a little bit, and I will select this object as the last and active one, because the active has a different color. Hide this layer, and then I do like another image. There, see, now everything is nice and orange. Now let's save this one. Easy trick. Okay, perfect. So with having actually this done, now I have a nice and crisp kind of like screenshot with a transparent background, which either I could print and then basically take another sheet of paper and sketch over it. Now if you're an iPad or when you're on an Android tablet, you can use Infinite Painter for doing this task. For all those who do not have it, we can actually also simply use an illustration tool, and I will use Gravit as an example. If you have access to Infinity Designer or Freehand or Inkscape, they all work as well. So we can now create a new design, and I will select US landscape 11 by 8.5, and then this image I can actually drag in there. Let's go maybe full screen. Drag it in, and now I can scale it. The scale I select doesn't really matter, because the main reason why I created this screenshot was now I have something I can trace over, and all my profile sketches will actually be proportionally in a harmonious relationship. If I just draw all these things freehand easily, what could happen is I will get different proportions, and then kind of like the idea of profiles as a study doesn't really work well. So next step, in my case, maybe I move it a little bit to here, and then I can, for example, lock this one twice. So I have this sign now. Now I can't actually click it. Perfect. So what I will show you now are basically very universal illustration techniques. So again, what application you use, it doesn't matter. They all do exactly the same. So if you don't have access to Illustrator, even for layouting and basic work, you can actually just go ahead and use Gravit.io as well. It's web-based, so you need to have internet access, but otherwise you can do exactly all the stuff we would do in our courses. So the first thing I would like to do is go with the pen tool. And for example, let's say I click there, and then I go to here, click, and then I go to there and click and press enter. With the sub select, I can, for example, select this point, and then I will set this one to symmetric. Now if I move this point, you see actually how the handles and everything adjust. This is kind of like when you're in Blender, when you have the handle type set to automatic. There, you can select this one. Apple Shift D makes a copy, but right at the same position. Or you go to Edit and there, clone. And then we go to the flip and just see, in this case now we would need to use the pointer and move this one down. Okay, there. Perfect. So one line, maybe to the front, so we can press L for the line tool. Move this one down. I would like to cap the back, so I can select the ellipse tool, maybe click here to the center, hold Shift and the Alt key, and you see I can draw kind of like a circle from the center, maybe get it close to somewhere, maybe a little bit there. Perfect. Now this is a circle. I only would like to have an arc. So what we could do is, with the circle selected, we can turn on pi and here say 0. You see now this is 0 degrees to 180. I would like this to open. Now you see it's open. And I don't rotate this one. What I will do now, I double click and then I can simply move, for example, these yellow dots to the position where I need them. Let's say like this. Perfect. These ends here, now we see don't look very good. So double click on this point and then say mirror. And you see now we have a handle, and then with Shift we can line them up, vertical, 45 horizontal. We want it to be horizontal, so it will actually be tangent to the arc. Maybe move it to there, then double click here, we can move this one closer, fill that gap. Now we see there, this is a little bit too big, maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, good. And then Apple Shift D, make a copy, move it down, maybe there. Okay, maybe this circle we have to stretch a little bit. Okay, perfect. That's kind of like the main top body. Nice. So we have a circle down here. Now we can do this again. Maybe with our pressing we go into rectangle. That's not what I want. Okay, this is embarrassing. Let's go ahead. It's actually a really cool game for somebody who wants to have pretty challenging puzzles. And one circle. Okay, so I use the ellipse tool. And now let's turn fill off, border click, and set this to black. 1 point for the moment is fine. Ellipse to the center. Let's do this one more time. Snapping, by the way, you can turn on and off here. Pretty cool. Okay, so maybe now pen tool, P. So we can maybe click there. Here now I click, I can also drag the handles out and maybe click there and just leave it, press enter. double click and maybe reposition these points a little bit. Looks like this point here has to go further down. Yeah, maybe like this. You see? Works good. Click this one, Apple Shift D or Command Shift D. I think on a PC that would maybe be, I think then I would say Control Shift D. Let's flip it. Wrong one. Okay, now we can bring it to there, and then we have to rotate it. We can go to Transform. Then here, this dot I moved down to the end. It's kind of like the 3D cursor in Blender, and then I rotate this one to there and press enter or click on the canvas. There, great. So you see we're getting pretty close actually to capturing it. This really literally doesn't take much time. So the last thing maybe what I would like to do is press L and draw maybe a connection line there, and then let's zoom in. Here's this handle part, another P, maybe click, drag this one out. Maybe I make this bigger and flare it out so it flows nicely into the side. Now this one doesn't look good, so I make this maybe bigger, push this to there. Okay, maybe as an idea, I don't know, because later when we go into 3D we can adjust this even more. We also have, for example, the freehand pen, which is quite nice. So we can simply draw and it tries to smooth things out for us. Sometimes it works pretty good. Sometimes it does not work very good, as we saw. Pretty much when you draw big curves, it seems to work much better. So what I will do here, simply with a pen, maybe drag it out, maybe because I want to have a line, maybe I make something like this and there and click there, and then maybe do something like this as an idea. So that's kind of like maybe suggesting there should be some sort of a groove and maybe a little bit inwards, there, there, and then there. I can click and close it, and you see in this area here it did not really adjust the other side. So I can click on say mirror, and then there. Now mirror actually moves both at the same time. That's not what I want. Maybe disconnect, so I can move this one separately. Okay, and try not to be perfect. Now these should be really nice and quick studies. So a little bit of maybe fine-tuning. So this handle, this point I move down to here. I can press P, go to this point, and then I continue drawing. Maybe I click there, drag this out, press enter, select, click this point and say this should be a mirror. Then I have to bring this one back. Or symmetry is actually what I want. So they are parallel to each other, but they can have individual lengths. So they're kind of like suggested, maybe the fillet, maybe here for the back. Can bring this back, P, click on this point, go to there, drag it out, select this point and say symmetry, and bring this one back to there. Maybe here this one I line up to hide it. That later will be surfacing issue, but that's something that we can fix in 3D. Good, so maybe here we will have some sort of a separation line. Let's do it this way, nice. And this here I don't like right now. So now we can actually go into the aspect of styling. So I can select all this. In here, if I want, make a folder, or I can make a group. I simply will make a group. It's quicker. Select everything. Edit. Do we have a group function here? There. Group selection. And then Apple Shift D, make a copy, move this over there. We can ungroup it. It's actually split. Okay, then I can zoom in. And this line I would like to split, and this line, and this line. So for example, what does that mean? Here is the knife tool. And if I zoom in and I draw a nice long line across the circle, it will be split. Because now I can go ahead and select just this part, go to there and say 1 and 1, maybe 2 and 2. There. This works better. Kind of like suggesting there might be something in this area. In here I would like to remove. So can use the knife tool, cut through and cut through, and then here should be an element I can remove. And maybe here at this point I move back a little bit. Maybe this point I remove. Maybe move this a little bit to there. Actually, technically speaking, this has to go to there, and this point has to go to there. There you see kind of like the idea. I suggested that maybe we make some sort of a groove or cut or something. We will see how this could work. Okay, so now let's continue playing with this. Actually, what we will do first, we will see this in general is way too big. So let's move this over. Scale this one down. The nice thing is when we work digital, we don't really have to work big because we can always easily adjust the size by simply zooming into the document when it's all path-based. I have to select all those, and I want to reset the value to 0.5 since we scaled everything down. So let's select it. Shift D, move it over. All this, for example, I group again so my my layer system doesn't get crazy. So let's see now, what could we do here maybe to play with? Well, maybe this one I pull out more. This one maybe I push to there. Good. And then this one we can delete. Select this one. Apple Shift D. Let's flip it. And with the point select, let's move this one down. There. Okay. And this one I have to adjust a little bit. Done. One version. Okay. Maybe here, this one I will bring to there. This I make maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe I push it in there. I don't know. Basically what we're trying to do is just fool around, literally. So turn off your brain, just be creative, do things, and then later we can see in 3D if what we try to do even really makes sense or not. And then basically you can continue. And this way then, as you can see, quite quickly create many variations. And we only work in 2D. The nice thing about that is very fast. And when you work digitally, we can even copy and paste. So elements really remain nicely the same. Let's make one more version. So Apple Shift D, move this over. Let's group this one. Maybe what I want to do here is this I squeeze, maybe a little bit like this. So I was just thinking maybe let's start making this thing a little bit more boxy. Maybe like this. Okay, Apple Shift D. There, bring it down. Okay. So then this one actually has to go down to there. Maybe that angle is way too much, so I'd rather do it this way. That is no, let's see which value. So 109, let's say 110 and 110. No, wait, no, 110. That actually doesn't work, because it's the same angle, but we can easily use a guideline. So there, so 250, good. So, and then bring this one to there, scale it down there, and this one we push back. And let's say, maybe this could be kind of like a nice flat area there and there. Okay, so you see there's a bigger transition, and then this definitely will have to adjust to something like this. There and there. Okay. Maybe one more. Wanna make another variation of this one. Shift D, move it down. This all we group. These all we split. Okay. And what I will do is now maybe let's say, just trying to see which version we use. Maybe with the pen tool from there to there to there. Enter this point, maybe a little bit like this. Okay. So on these two, Apple Shift. No, actually here, this one I will select, and then I can maybe cut it there. Okay, nice, because then this I can select and move down. So I kind of like built a small offset in there. This whole part can be deleted, U and U. Apple Shift D. I will group it for the moment, so it's one object. So now I flip it, it flips as an object. There, line it up, and then I can split it again. Maybe down here, now there are some points I have to adjust. Move this to there. Move this up, move this down. Beautiful. There. Apple G for another group. And yeah, you get the idea. So that's basically one process you could use when you want to do things digitally. So the main tools I use in these programs are line, pen, ellipse, and then also the knife tool to cut parts. And in Gravit, when you select an object, and we can also play, for example, with the dashes. Illustrator has exactly the same. You can play with color and size. And then, yeah, be creative.